and welcome to today's installment of Created for More, the podcast. I am exceptionally giddy today. Man, have I got the guest for you. I've got the awesome, wonderful, delicious, deliciously Winifred Nwania, and she's fondly known as Winnie. She's the founder of Zeelicious Food Company and the host of a cooking series also called Zeelicious. It airs on YouTube and my Ninja Plate, and also airs on DSTV. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, Winifred. I would love to hear you introduce yourself in your own words, who you are. What is the essence of Winifred?
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Tamba, for having me. First of all, before I go into that, I think that you are such an amazing person, and what you are doing for the world is quite amazing, and I needed to add that before I continue. So back to me now. In just a short few words, my name is Winifred Nwania, like you have said, and I like to think of myself as a culinary expert. I teach people how to make different dishes, from local to continental dishes, but we actually mostly center around African and Nigerian dishes. The whole idea for starting Zeelicious Foods was just to give people a repertoire of recipes they can choose from, instead of staying stuck on the same old recipes that we grew up learning to make. And then another main goal that for starting Zeelicious Food was actually to put Nigerian food on the global food map, which I think that we're doing a great job at that as well. So it's amazing. And then just recently we added, because I'm actually studying to be a nutritionist. Very soon I'm going to be a certified nutritionist. Recently we also added, as part of our goals, just to create content, videos, products and services that encourage people to eat healthy. So just embark on a healthy living lifestyle, and then healthy eating lifestyle, and then just encourage you with arm you with all the resources, all the tools that you need. And recently as well, we also got to I got the opportunity to host a cooking show on DSTV called My Ninja Plate.
Wow.
And I also just added Cookbook Author to my title. So
Look at this. You can stay here forever. Just introducing yourself.
So you can call me a published cookbook author now.
Yes,
and
you are.
Finally, I don't think my profile will be complete without adding the fact that I'm also now an etiquette coach. So because I'm very passionate about lifestyle and how people live their lives, and I'm just passionate about living life the right way and just living life confidently, I started to share etiquette tips that help people just breeze through life confidently, just arming them with the right etiquette tips that they need to just organize themselves whenever they find themselves in different social settings.
Wow, look at that. Look how awesome that is. First of all, let's track back to the DSTV, because we've got a global audience, so some people might not understand how huge this is, right? Some people may not get when she's saying DSTV and just throwing around randomly like that. It is huge. It is absolutely huge. I think you filmed that was that in South Africa?
South Africa, yes. South Africa.
I love that. I just
DSTV
love
is actually, just putting in perspective, DSTV is the biggest satellite television or satellite network in Africa. Wow. I think satellite network, the biggest one.
Oh my gosh, I have so much admiration for you. Just I just love everything that you've said. Well, first of all, before we even get into the now, I like how you've introduced yourself. We'll come back to that, but I want you also to track back a little bit. Like, who have you always been? Like, who were you as a child? Like, growing up? Like, is this a future that you imagined, or have you always thought that you would go into this? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so to be honest with you, like everybody else, I just wanted to go to school, get a good job, and just go through life like our parents taught us to go through life. But the one thing I know that I've always had inside of me even growing up as a child, from the moment I realized or I became conscious of my existence, the one thing I always knew that I had in me was the passion for winning. I always wanted to win at every and anything I did. And I also think that is one of the values that my father instilled in me as well before he passed away. He passed on when I was 12 years old. And I remember that the very first day I ever made any dish in my life was the day of my father's passing. My mom was too sad to cook. Everyone was too sad to cook in the house. But I took on the challenge. I was like, I was going to feed everyone today. So I got into the kitchen, and for the first time in my life, I made a pot of jollof rice. It was the worst jollof rice I ever made.
Considering the situation, it was great.
And then, of course, I didn't really even know how to make it, but I just really wanted to take up the challenge and just be there for everyone at the time. So it was the worst jollof rice I ever made, but because I really wanted to get it right, even my brothers that could eat any and everything couldn't eat that jollof rice. That's how bad it was. So because I had the winning spirit in me, I said to myself that I was going to do this again, but this time I was going to change my strategy. And the strategy I changed was the next day I went and asked my mom for guidance on how to do it. I remember going into the kitchen saying, okay, mom, I've put the oil now. What am I putting next? She'll be like, okay, fry, put the onions, chop the onions. So I went back and forth and she was guiding me. And then, of course, the second time around, the jollof rice came out tasting amazing. Like, not the greatest, but I mean, it was way better than the first time I made it. So that actually really struck something inside of me that, okay, at that time, I actually started liking and falling in love with the kitchen. And I found myself drawn to the kitchen. But at the time, I was just 12. What did I know? At the time, I just felt like what the passion that I had for it was just going to be something that my husband and my kids would enjoy. So I just kept at it. I just kept doing the cooking in the house. Everyone was quite surprised that I was always running into the kitchen to cook. My mom told me one day that, why are you always going into everybody wants to come out of the kitchen. Who wants to go in? What's inside this kitchen? Little did I know, little did anybody know that God was actually paving the way, or helping me develop myself and develop my skill for what will now be my full-time career. So, like, to answer your question, I was just like every normal, ordinary girl. I just wanted to go to school, get a good job, and just come out and take care of myself and take care of my family. But the one thing I always knew that I had was the winning spirit. So after school, there's this mandatory 1-year youth service program that we have to do called NYSC. It was actually during camp, because everyone was mandated in camp to learn a skill. So they brought different trainers from different walks of life to just come to the camp to train us, and then we were just supposed to pick one skill that we wanted to learn. I remember my friends then in camp were going for hair, makeup, and all, but it wasn't just who I was. So I remember very loudly there was a voice that came into my head. I'm like, but you like to cook? Why not just go and look for a catering service on campus, in the camp, and just join? And then I remember going around looking for a catering service, and I found one. And the very first day, because they kept coming to camp every, I think 4 days in a week. So the very first day they came to camp, they taught us how to make something with yams. And I'm like, wow, I have never ever seen anyone make anything with yams. And I'm like, okay, it got me very excited and very.
I can even see it on your face. You're even still excited.
I was so freaking excited. And I'm like, okay. So I continued to attend the classes in camp, and after camp, I was like, okay, should I go to culinary school? Should I not? I lost interest after camp, and I continued to focus on the safe path of just going to get the job, earning a salary and all. I focused on that path. But one thing I realized focusing on that path was I was the most, like, even whilst doing the job, the passion for cooking did not leave me. I found that I was still, if you would come on my computer then, you would literally see on my browser, all the tabs had something to do with food. Because either I'm watching a cooking video or I'm watching I'm reading a cooking blog, something has to do with food. And I realized that even after I'm done with my 9 to 5, I would go home, I find myself in the kitchen, cooking, taking pictures, posting the pictures on, then I was using a Blackberry phone, and I remember posting the pictures on my Blackberry, and people would ask me, Winifred, how did you make this? Can you share the recipe? And I'm like, okay, someone is interested in my recipe. How? Okay. So I would always share the recipe with my family and friends then, until I told my sister about it one day, and she's like, why not start a blog? So I remember there was a site called simpleblog.com. I went to get a free blog, and I started documenting my recipe, opened an Instagram account, started putting my recipes there, and people started asking me for the recipe. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. So I took it seriously. I kept doing that. And whilst I was doing it, of course, I had my 9 to 5 job as well. Yeah. The turning point came for me when, the turning point to leave my 9 to 5 came when there was a particular time, because like I said, I always like to win at everything I do. But at work, I found out that I wasn't winning anymore. My boss would give me a task to do.
I love that.
But I wasn't doing it well. I wasn't excelling at it because my focus was no longer on the 9 to 5 job. I was working in an oil and gas company, and I was in the finance department. My focus was no longer there. I found myself making mistakes. I found myself making errors that someone like a normal person shouldn't even make. And that's because my focus and my attention was on the food cooking aspect. I would be in the office, literally cooking in the office. I'll be in the office with my colleagues and all I'm seeing is me standing in the kitchen wearing an apron, cooking something. I'm like, what is this?
The thing is,
it didn't make sense to me at the time.
Wow.
It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, what is this? This passion kept yelling. You know, when something yells and wouldn't give you, like, this thing kept persevering until I gave into it. And when I gave into it I remember when there was a particular time I would go to the office and I'll feel so depressed. I'll feel so sad walking into the office building. I'm like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And then I remember one day I went to meet my boss and I'm like, I think I'm going to quit. I'm going to resign. And he's like, how dare you say you want to resign in this era?
Yeah, like when people are looking for jobs, high unemployment, you have a job in an oil company and you are thinking about leaving. Are you mad?
Everyone thought I was crazy. My mom, my sisters, then my boyfriend, everyone thought that there was something wrong with me. But I'm like, I'm not happy. And I couldn't continue in this line. I had to find a way to make myself happy. For the food aspect of things, I had no plan. I didn't even know where I was going to go or how. The only thing I knew I had was the blog and the Instagram page that I had started, which was already gaining a little bit of attention here and there. But I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know. I just knew that I wasn't happy doing the 9 to 5. My boss didn't want me to leave at first, but eventually I left and I started Zeelicious Foods. And that's where the story of the next phase of my life began.
Yes. Honestly, there's so much to unpack in this first phase. So much to unpack because the gems that you have dropped, like what you have dropped is basically a blueprint to say, look, this is how you honor your purpose. This is how you honor your calling, because there are people that are listening to you who don't understand why, they are doing the normal thing, or they are following the social scripts of society and the cultural pathways, and they are so unhappy. And as you're speaking now, when they're listening to this podcast, they're instantly going to be saying, is that why I'm always thinking about this when I am doing that? And I just love it. And you've said it and it sounds really super easy. I know you've said it in like 10 minutes or so, but that was a journey and a half.
It was.
I mean, leaving an oil company, first of all, for cooking. And we're not talking about in a culture where, there's Jamie Oliver or there are all these big brand names. I mean, you're actually trying to create something. Yeah. So I want you to speak to us about that, because that wrestling, like, what should people do when they feel like they're possessed by something that doesn't really feel or doesn't seem to be a conventional path?
Okay, like you said, I said it in less than a few minutes, but trust me, it was a journey and a half. You put it the right way. It was, it started out as a struggle. It started as a struggle, and the struggle was, okay, toward this safe path of a 9 to 5, get your pay. I had a good pay. I mean, for someone who just graduated school, I had a good pay. And I was living well. It felt good to have like that sort of money come in. But then at the same time, I had this other thing yelling and calling my name and saying, you have to pay me attention. And I'm not going to let you not pay me attention. And I'm like, what the hell are you though?
I'm getting goosebumps. It was like literally the way you say it is so strong. Like this other thing is calling. There are some things that come into your life and like, I'm not gonna let you go. I'm not gonna let you go. This is your life. This is me. I'm here to stay.
It was a big struggle. But I found that as much as it was a struggle for me, it was also easy for me to do the 9 to 5 and then just start, because I really wanted to understand what that voice was. I started to listen to it gradually. I mean, still having my 9 to 5, but I was still doing, like I said, on the side, I would still go cook. I'll get a recipe online. I'll be like, okay, I want to make this recipe today. Let me see how it turns out. And then I'll make it, I'll recreate it. It comes out really nice. I post a picture. People will see the picture and ask me, can I get the recipe? So remember, I said that I started to build gradually from there. And I'm like, okay, so there's something here, but I really didn't know what it was. I wasn't making any money. For me, it was just all about just answering that passion, just giving it a little bit of attention so that it stops bugging my life. But again, it was still, should I quit? Should I stay? Should I not go? I wasn't happy with the job. So one day I had to ask myself a question, and all this was happening morning, night. At night, I'm awake throughout the night. I'm asking myself, should I not? Should I do this? It was a lot of voices in my head. And each time I noticed that each time that I would talk to somebody about it, maybe my family, my mom, my sisters, everyone just kept saying, like, you cannot quit this. You mustn't quit. Like, why would you quit? You can do both of them at the same time. But with what I was experiencing, I was in my 9 to 5 getting a good job, but I wasn't freaking happy. And I'm saying it as raw as it is. I wasn't happy in the job. I'll go there. I was excited to have colleagues and have that job, but it felt like I kept lying to myself, like I was happy about it. But deep down inside of me, I knew that this was not where I was supposed to be. So just to be on the safe side, I just kept asking people for guidance, and I neglected the voice that was inside me, which was the only voice I should have gone to ask for guidance. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, you're telling me to do this. Okay, how do I go about it? And then I remember one day I listened to a message from my pastor's Pastor Chris, and then he talked about fulfilling purpose and fulfilling your destiny and all. And then it got me very interested. I'm like, okay, what if this is my purpose? What if this is what I'm supposed to do? I got interested in reading. I never used to like reading, but one day I said to myself that I was going to take up this reading thing and see what reading has for me. But before I started reading, I remember very well that in that message that my pastor preached, he talked about, if you don't know what your purpose is, there is one who sent you to fulfill that purpose. Why not go and ask him? And he was talking about God. I mean, I believe in God. I'm a Christian. So one day in my bedroom, I told God, you have given me this passion that's inside of me, like that is calling. I need to know what it is. Can you direct me? You gave me this. You are the one who is giving me this purpose. What do I need to do what do I need to do to go about fulfilling it? And then I remember that after that prayer, of course, God is not going to come and answer me with a very loud voice. He started answering me with signs. The first sign that I noticed was I fell deeply in love with reading. I started reading. The very first book I ever read in my life was a book by Joyce Meyer that talked about the power of your words. That book changed my life forever. The second one I read was The Principles and Power of Vision by Miles Monroe. That book literally was what even answered my question a whole lot better. And I found out that it gave me the courage and the strength to say, you know what, I'm going to throw away this 9 to 5 because it wasn't making me happy. And I'm going to listen to that thing that was yelling inside of me. So I think that I can owe the change to the book that I read, because that book has words in it that literally transformed my mind and then gave me an inner strength to say, Winifred, the fact that you have this struggle means that you are actually doing something right. So if you're not happy doing this, then get up and go do what you're happy doing, because I really, really loved to cook. And so I would say that, yes, it was certainly a struggle. And the first thing I know that I did was I opened up my head to At the time, I didn't have all the solutions. I didn't have all the answers, but I opened up my mind to listen to that thing calling me. And because I listened to it, it felt like the universe just guided me with different things. First of all, I heard the message from my pastor, which was one of the first messages that resonated. Secondly, from the message, he taught me how to go talk to God and ask God for guidance. After asking God for guidance, it felt like every other thing just started to create. I just started to see things a lot clearer. I fell in love with reading. From the reading, I got answers to the questions that I was asking other people. I got the answers that helped me take the next step. And from there on till now, I have just told myself that I'm just going to focus solely on just God and that thing that is yelling inside of me that has stopped yelling, by the way.
The thing has won. It has won. I want us to track back and talk about the early days. Because when you make a big decision like that, like you have basically put a stake in the ground and say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. Everyone has told you don't do it. You've decided within yourself, I'm going to do it because I want to listen to this voice, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about the early days to help people understand what that kind of, what that journey is like. Because it's not going to be all rosy. You don't just walk in, as you say, and everything lines up. You're going to have moments in those early days where you're thinking, did I make a mistake? Can I quickly call my boss back? So let's talk about the early days. How was it for you in that, first 6 months, first even 1 month of, your parents or your mother looking at you like, so is this what you quit your job for? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so for me, the early days were, I said for the first 2-3 weeks of quitting, I definitely felt nervous. I was in fact, I can't really explain the emotions that I felt that first 3 weeks. It was there was so much uncertainty. There was so much nervousness. There was so much the question of, okay, now what next? But amidst all the uncertainty and the doubts and the questions, one thing I knew very well without a doubt was I did the right thing. I never questioned my decision.
I love that.
I knew it was the right thing. And because I'd also learned from reading that you are in a place now and you can't, the best way to navigate the waters and just go through clearly is for you to get more knowledge and get information. I was in a place and I said, okay, I have made this decision. There's no going back now. How do I move forward? So for that first 3 weeks, it was just me asking myself questions and trying as much as possible to understand this new path that I have decided to put myself into. Like I literally set myself up. So for me, the next actions I was going to take was either going to plunge me in the right direction or just lead me astray. So those moments were the moment of, I call it the life and death moments. Who you listen to in that moment, who is feeding you information, who is feeding you with stuff, what you're reading is what is literally going to set the course or set the pace for the rest of your life. So at that time, I didn't know nothing. I had no business experience. I didn't have any money saved. Everyone thought I was crazy. So it was just me in my world doing my thing. And then one day I remember, and then of course I love to pray so much. So those moments I spent praying, speaking in tongues, trying to get direction from God, because I found that back then the world was so noisy. It's even noisier now. But I realized that if I was going to be able to shut everyone up and shut the noise up and do what I was supposed to do, I had to go again to whoever sent me. So I had to connect myself completely and solely to my source and my maker, the one who sent me on this errand. Because if I don't connect myself to him, how am I supposed to have the direction to navigate where I'm supposed to go to? So every time I found that I was always praying, I prayed so much, I prayed so hard. At the time, it felt like God wasn't even answering my prayers or he wasn't listening to me. But guess what? Looking back now, because I usually have this self-reflective moment. Looking back now, the things that I was doing back then, that I didn't even know had anything to do with, like, had any impact or effect on my journey or my career. Looking back, those things literally, and it felt like there was a divine being just literally guiding me and guiding my every step. I was just telling someone 2 days ago, I don't know how I got here. Like, I know what I did, but you see how that everything just connected, joined, and everything just worked out for my good. I knew that it couldn't have been anything but a divine power. And then that's because I connected myself to God. And by connecting myself to God, he started to bring me things, solutions. I started to read. I started to develop my mind, develop myself. I remember starting out with a Blackberry Curve 2. That's what I was using to take my pictures. I remember putting my food on the floor to get a nice background, just to get a nice picture to post on social media so that people can go watch my. It was a struggle. I'm not even going to lie. It was a struggle. I got a lot of support, of course. Like, I had favor. God gave me favor. God gave me so much favor from family members, from even the family members that didn't support me at the beginning. When they realized that I wasn't going to quit this thing and I wasn't going to stop, they decided that, okay, you know what? If she's not going to stop, we can't abandon her. We have to give her the support. So I remember, like, everyone, there was favor from all sides. There was favor from everywhere. And then I remember the decision to start up my YouTube channel. I didn't have any, like, I really wanted to do YouTube. Someone had told me about Food Network. So I went on Food Network and I started watching Food Network shows. And then there was a particular lady, Siba Mtongana. She's a South African. She was the only black woman I was seeing on Food Network then. And I said to myself, I want to be like this lady. I'm going to have a cooking show. So the next thing, my head just exploded to, I wanted to have a cooking show. And then I kept thinking about it day and night. One day from wherever it came from, some guy in my church has a TV station called Love Word Plus. Some guy in my church came to me and said, Winifred, are you the one that has this blog on Instagram? I see all these foods that you post. And I'm like, yes, I'm the one. And he's like, okay, that he works for Love Word Plus and he wants that they're looking for the host for a cooking show. Am I interested?
What?
I said, okay. I didn't know.
There's something you said there, thinking about it day and night.
I kept
what
thinking.
You feed your mind, you literally magnetize that thing towards you. No action, just thinking about it day and night. Wow.
Yeah.
Love
and
attraction.
Then immediately I'm like, I wanted to go the route of, I've never done this before, but I'm like, I can do it. So I remember the very first episode that we shot was, oh my God, it was a disaster. But because I had
your winning mindset.
I think the episodes are still on the internet. Because I had the winning mentality, the winning spirit, I said I wasn't going to quit on myself. They weren't paying me any money at the time. It was free of charge. I was doing it for free because I really just wanted to I really loved and I enjoyed having that opportunity. So because I wanted to win at it, I told myself I was going to go hone my hosting skills. Because I tell people, it's one thing to cook, it's another thing to cook and host the cooking process.
Sure.
They're two different jobs entirely. So what I did was I started to watch a lot of other people who were already excelling in the cooking show world. I would watch how they present, how they talk. Siba Mtongana, I would always watch her videos. I remember recording all of her episodes on DSTV then, and I would always just go rewatch. I found myself in front of my mirror. I'm talking, I'm acting like I'm talking to people. I just kept practicing and practicing.
God,
and every time I got in front of the camera, I just got better. I got better. God also opened up my mind to reading. Of course, I started reading. I started learning how to pronounce things correctly because I had a little bit of a Nigerian accent. I still have the Nigerian accent, but I was pronouncing things wrongly. And because I really wanted to reach out to a global audience, I knew that I really had a lot of work to do when it comes to developing myself, not just my hosting skill, my talking skill, my presentation skill. Everything just had to be honed. So I remember going in front of the mirror. I would talk to the mirror. I'll hold my phone in my hand. I'll talk to my phone. And somebody gave me an advice one day that really helped me through that process. The person said, whenever you are in front of the camera, don't see the camera as a gadget. See the camera as your best friend. See the camera like you're interacting with your best friend, and that literally changed the game for me. So every time I'll be in front of the camera and see that red light, then it was a red light, I look at it and I'm like, girl, let's talk, okay? What happened with the process? And I of course, when I first started out, I wasn't good. If you go watch my first video on YouTube, you can even tell that this girl was nervous as hell. But I wasn't really good at what I was doing. But because I told myself that I wanted to be the best, I wanted to be very good at what I do, I just kept sharpening my skill, and I kept taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. At the beginning, I wasn't making any money. In fact, for the first year and maybe year and a half, I wasn't making any money from what I was doing. I was just putting in.
So important that you say that.
But I saw those years as my sowing years, the years where I had to sow my seed. You know, when you sow a seed, you don't reap a fruit, you don't reap a harvest. You have to sow the seed, and then you have to water the seed. So I saw those years as me sowing my seeds and watering them. I kept watering by developing my skills. I kept watering by developing my mind, developing myself. I kept watering by speaking words. I kept watering by learning things. Every day I said to myself I was going to learn something new that would make me better than I was the previous day. It was something I knew that I had to succeed at. I just knew without a doubt that I had to succeed at it, and I had to do everything it took to succeed. I remember that. So let me just quickly say this before I give it back to you. I remember that at the time I wanted to go to culinary school because I felt like going to culinary school was something I really needed. But then I went to their website, and I found that the school fees then was about 2.something million naira. And I couldn't afford it because I didn't have any money. And I'm like, okay, I can't go to culinary school. What do I do? And then immediately that thought came inside of me. Why not learn it yourself? Why not learn how to be whatever you want to be yourself? And then the idea came to me, go to the website of the culinary school you want to attend. Download their curriculum. So I downloaded the curriculum. I saw the textbooks they were using to teach the students. And then I bought all the textbooks. I remember borrowing money from my boyfriend, and he's not my ex. I remember borrowing money from him to buy the books. I had all those books day and night. I would plunge myself into the book. I would read the book. I would study, learn as much as possible from it. And I started to practice and put to work everything that I was learning. One day at a time, one step at a time. I just kept doing my thing. I just kept doing it, putting in my best, putting in my effort, knowing fully well that I was not alone in this thing that I was doing, that this was a journey that I've been sent on. And then I had the backing and support of all of heaven, all of nature. Everyone had my support. That's what I filled my head with. I'm not alone. You can do this. You can do this, and you will succeed at it. So I just kept going. I kept doing one day at a time. And here I am today.
My goodness. My goodness. You have literally changed this podcast to the greatness. Like this is the school of greatness. There's another podcast called the School of Greatness where you've literally converted this podcast. How to be great. The greatness code, the greatness blueprints. My goodness. Like, I'm just like, who are you? Who goes to go and download the curriculum of a school that you want to do? Like, for you, impossible was nothing. Like, impossible was nothing. Like,
I wasn't going to say the impossibility. No excuses. No excuses. I wasn't going to give myself any excuse. People kept saying, I remember then a lot of people would say to me, you are in Nigeria, these things are hard. I'm like, in this Nigeria, this same Nigeria, I'm going to prove to you that you can do it, and you can do it big. In this so-called third world country that we are in. And I'm trying and that's actually one of the things that fueled my passion to keep going. Like, I hear a lot of people say, Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is... I'm like, in this same Nigeria, people are thriving. What's your excuse? What's your excuse? You need to learn to rise above whatever, the economy, whatever. No excuse. Just do what needs to be done. God doesn't understand Nigeria or America or Canada. He puts you in Nigeria for a reason. So he doesn't understand whether you are in Nigeria or in Canada. You are in Nigeria. The law of nature, the law of wealth, the law of attraction, the law works whether you are in Nigeria or Canada. Put it to work.
So powerful. Like, so I'm just like, wow. Wow, I'm hardly speechless on my show, by the way. Hardly ever speechless. But I want to just kind of talk about the principles because I want people to understand the principles. We can get caught up in the story and then still forget the principles. One of the things I heard you talk about is this principle of self-improvement. So powerful. You thought about every single thing that you need to be that person that you had seen, whether it's how you speak or whether it's your mannerisms or whatever it is. You said, you know what, I am going to improve myself. If it is to learn, I will download the books and I will do what I need to do. I'm going to improve myself. So self-improvement is very, very important. You talked about this, your winning mindset, that even if something doesn't go right, you are constantly thinking, how can I win? What can I do to get on top? And it is so powerful because a lot of times we get down and, and we just think that is it. But you've got this, from what I can hear from you, you've got this never say die attitude. Like, it's not going to happen. If I'm involved or I am going to get in. You also talked about this, the power of a vision. The fact that you had something in your mind, and this is so important because a lot of times people struggle with this one. What do you want badly enough? Because I find that a lot of times people, and it's often said, it's very important to have a vision, but a lot of times people don't have it, or even if they have it, they don't want it badly enough.
Yeah.
So you find so many lukewarm people in this world. They're not willing to stake everything on one thing. So they're doing different things at small level. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree?
Yes, I totally agree with you. A lot of people don't have what I call staying power. They encounter their first challenge and the first thing that comes to their head is, I'm giving up, I'm done. This is not for me. But they don't understand that the process is as important as the destination. The journey is as important as the destination. You've set a goal for yourself to be this or be whatever. But if you don't go through the process, through the challenges, through the trying times, through the good times, through the bad times, if you don't go through it, through every hurdle, you will not really, like, whatever you're going to, you want to achieve, you may not even, I always use this scenario. When you dash somebody money, when you give someone $1 million, you just dash them and say, take $1 million. And when you work one person has $1 million that was dashed to him by someone. One person worked for $1 million. He had to put in the work to get that $1 million. Who do you think is going to value the $1 million more? Of course, it's the person who has worked for the $1 million. And who do you think would have the power to multiply that $1 million more? The one who has worked for it. Because he has gone through a process. He understands how this money came. He understands how to put the money back to good use. But the one who somebody just said, take this $1 million, doesn't understand how that $1 million came to be. All he knows is, I was given $1 million. The next thing you see is, the first thing that comes to his mind is, how can I spend this $1 million? But the one who made the $1 million by going through a process, what comes to his mind is, okay, how can I put this $1 million back to make me more money? So you see why going through that process is very important. Having that stickability power, like, you want something, you have a vision in mind, you start out, of course it's not going to be rosy, it's not going to be easy, but you stay in it because you know that you're heading somewhere. And that's why it's actually also very important, like you said, to set a vision. You have to have a vision in mind. If you don't have a vision, it's like you starting out a journey, you don't have a destination. Where are you going? What are you going to do? Have a vision. You don't have to have the whole journey figured out, but just have that vision in mind. What do you want to be? I want to be, when I first started out, the culinary space that I'm in didn't really exist. I was one of the first people who created a culinary space in Nigeria. I was one of the first people. So I didn't have a lot of people to look up to. The people who were already there, they were not doing it the way I wanted it to be done, because I had an excellent mindset. I knew that something had to be done excellently, regardless of whether I'm from Nigeria or not. I'm going to remove that Nigerian factor and just do things right. So the people that I saw that were doing stuff that I felt like they were like in the culinary space, they were not inspiring enough. I wasn't inspired by them. So I had to choose my own path. I had to say, okay, enough, just close everybody out, and how do you want to do it? How do I want to do it? And then that made me realize that I needed to have a vision. Where am I going to, first of all, before you can even start to realize how you want to do it? And that's how I set the vision of, okay, the first thing is, which is now what became the goal eventually, is I wanted to put Nigerian food on the global food map, and then give people a repertoire of recipes to enjoy from. That was where I was headed. That was the first thing for me at the time. That was what I was seeing. How do I attain this? I had to hone my skill as a host. I had to hone my social media skills, and I had to know how to use social media well, because I wasn't going to pay anyone to get these things done for me. I had to learn it by myself, because at the time when I first started, I was everything. I was the host, I was the makeup artist, I was the wardrobe person, I was the social media manager, I was the accountant, I was the kitchen assistant, I was the production. I was everything. And if you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you're headed, that thing that is holding you and saying, see, Winifred, it's worth it. It's worth it. Keep going. I'm here. This is the goal. This is what you want to achieve. I'm here. I'm here. It's worth it. It's worth it. If you don't have that thing that you're looking at that's telling you it's worth it, you would break down and you will give up at the end of the day, because the road is never easy.
It's never easy. And I think one of the things that I can hear so clearly coming through in everything that you're saying is, for you, it wasn't even enough to have that vision and to be going towards it. You also wanted to be the very best that you could be at every distance. And that's the key for me, in my opinion, the key distinguishing factor between a lot of people out there, generally a lot of vision drivers, or you have something, you start a business, but if you don't have, you have a vision for your business, but if you don't have that excellence, or is it winning or greatness capability, that thing in your spirit that says, I have to do it and do it the very best, would you say that's excellence, or is it just winning, or is it a combination of both of them?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's a combination of everything. Like just doing your best to make it the best. And I believe that excellence is relative. Greatness is relative to different people. So what is my standard of excellence may not be someone else's standard of excellence. So I tell myself, okay, at this point in my life, what is the standard of excellence? So I remember when we're filming even till now, it's something we still do. Whenever we're filming our videos, the question I always ask myself, now I have a team, then I didn't have a team. So I would always ask myself, what is the best possible way I can do what I'm about to do for the world? Like this video I'm about to film now, I'm about to shoot now. What's the best, most excellent way that I can do it that will make it look the bestest for anyone who is seeing it to gain whatever value they need to gain from it? That's what I'm having at the back of my mind. And I would always say, God, God is the one who sends you. So you can't come and do shabby work for God. God is not a shabby God. And if you're expecting big things from him, you can't afford to do shabby things, especially when you know he's the one who sends you. So if God is sending you and God is watching, you can't cut corners. You have to put in the work. Put in the work. So I'll find that even till now, sometimes my guys even tell me, you're being extra. And I'm like, are you sure I'm being extra? You're not just being enough. Like I tell them, this little attention. I tell them, this little attention to detail is what sets you apart. Pay that time. You say, let's just leave it. Nobody. I said, people will notice. If I have noticed it, they will notice it. We will do it right. So sometimes it takes you maybe longer time to get the job done right, but you get it done right. I remember something, let me quickly say this. I remember something I learned in camp from our platoon commander, Mr. Corporal Sunday. I'll never forget. I remember I was in the march pass team. I don't know what they call them. I was in the team. I was a sub-guard commander. I remember then that every time we would come for rehearsal, everyone was supposed to come to the campground by 4 p.m. every day to have rehearsal from 4 to 6. I remember that after the rehearsal time at 6, every other platoon would dismiss themselves. Everyone would go. It's only platoon 5. I was in platoon 5. Only platoon 5 will stay on the ground. Our corporal will tell us then, we are not going anywhere until we have mastered it. So sometimes we're on the ground till 9 p.m., 10 p.m. when everybody else is having fun and eating and drinking and just having fun.
Markets. Yeah.
We were at the ground. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm like, at the time I kept wondering, what is this man putting us through? Like, why is it stressing us so much? one day, I think the day before the final parade, where we were going to parade in front of the Director General and the rest of and we're going to win a prize. The man said, do you know why I have always kept you guys on this ground for longer hours? He said, if you want to win at something, you have to put in the work. You have to put in extra hours. Everybody else has been going. You have been here. Watch what happens tomorrow. And he said something, if you don't win this match parade tomorrow, come and attack me. Do whatever you want to do to me and it will be justified. The next day was the match parade. Now, this man not only taught us the importance of matching and having our hands move at the same time, he taught us the importance of tiny details. Every lady had to wear the same kind of earring. He made us buy the same type of earring. He made us pack our hair the same way. He made everybody iron and starch their khaki the same way. He made it like, he paid so close attention to detail that apart from the main thing, which was the match parade, he taught us how to pay attention to those tiny little details. Now, the next day was the match parade. Not only did our platoon come first or take first in the match parade, we got a standing ovation from everyone in camp when we were done marching.
Wow.
I had goosebumps all over my skin. I'll never forget that day. And that thing taught me one very core lesson. And this is also something I'm going to say at this point. Life teaches you lessons at different points. If I wasn't really paying attention then, that would have just been another thing that just happened in my life, and I moved on from there. But it taught me that thing taught me to pay attention to tiny details, put in the hours, put in that extra hour, put in that extra time, and you would definitely see amazing result. There's no magic. It's actually one of the laws of success. Put in the time, pay attention to details, focus on being excellent, and you will definitely always see the result. It always pays off. It feels like hard work. It feels like suffering when you're doing it. But when the result comes and everyone is cheering you on and giving you a standing ovation, you're like, okay, that was worth it. I just thought to share that.
You just thought to blow our minds away even more. Like we were not odd enough. You decided to, pepper us even more. And that was an awesome story, completely relevant, totally value adding, something that will stay with me personally. Like I the picture you were painting, I could literally see his face. Like your just awesome. Like I'm just so. Because I remember I was reading out and I stopped at attraction. I think I said attraction. You've got to attract. You've got to put your vision out and keep saying it at the point where you just said you kept saying what was in your head and it came to you. Because guess what? As you say, the universe is here to serve you. It's not about where you're located. It's like everything has been put around to serve you, but it is only those who are desirous of those things that the things come to.
Yes.
It is those who know that they want that thing. Look, the Bible, let's see, in this Bible, it says, I am knocking at the door of your heart. That's why there's a scripture that says, I'm knocking at anyone who opens is where I'll come to. I am knocking. So those things are all there, they're knocking, but it is the person who day and night is meditating on that thing. Day and night. That God will just say, who needs this now?
It's time.
It's time. Come to Winifred. Winifred has been calling you since. So there's so much power in visualization. There's so much power in affirmation, in the things that you want to be able to create them, because we are creative forces. So we can create things. You create the things that you want. You also we talked about, I'm just looking at the principles, tenacity, never give up. I think we've talked about that enough. And then I've got vision and then decisiveness. This decisiveness is so powerful because a lot of times people are going back and forth, flip-flopping. Today it's this, tomorrow it's that. You speak to this person, and in this day and age where there is so much distraction on social media and everywhere else, it's very difficult to keep focus and keep on the path of what you have decided. It only takes you scrolling and seeing somebody doing something else, and you'd be like, Abby, was this the right thing? Maybe.
That's what I call the noise. There's so much noise. If you don't have a vision, the noise would distract you easily. But when you have that vision and that goal of where you're headed, like for example, I hear a lot of people say, oh, Winifred, how are you thriving in your niche? There's so many people in that niche now. Too many people want to cook. Too many people in the food space. And I always say to anyone who cares to listen, I'm staying true to my vision. I'm not seeing what's happening on social media. I try as much as possible to avoid. I see what people are doing. I applaud them, but that's the end. I'm clapping for you, but I'm closing my eyes and my ears to whatever it is you're doing. And I don't want it to affect me. And I'm staying true to my vision. So the noise is loud, but if you have a vision, you can denoise it. You can denoise whatever noise.
I love that. You can denoise it. Oh, I love that. Winifred, this has been such a great hour. I want you to talk to us about, what's next for you. Like what's, you've chronicled the past, you've talked about the present, but what's next for you?
Whenever I think about what's next, like I literally have goosebumps. Wow. I have goosebumps. I know a friend of mine came to me some days ago, and she's like, Winifred, how do you do all these things that you do? You went to South Africa, you shot a cooking show, you came back, you released your cookbook, now you've launched your website, now you're still on YouTube, you're still active, how do you do what you do? And again, it still boils down to, what is your vision? Have your vision set clear for you. And then, of course, what is it nature, the universe, everything in this world would always only respond to those who are desirous of wanting whatever it is that they want. And how do I show that I'm desirous? Morning, noon, and night, I'm meditating and I'm pondering on these things. Morning, noon, and night, I'm confessing, I'm affirming. Every morning when I wake up, when I'm opening up my windows, I say to myself, I'm receptive and I'm open to the abundance and the good that this universe has for me today. Like, wow. I'm very conscious and I'm very intentional about my every step. So I'm not going to give details on, what the next step for me is. In fact, sometimes I say to myself, I don't have it all figured out. I don't have everything figured out, but I know that what I have is that vision and that goal that I have set for myself, which I'm going to look at every day, and it will guide my everyday decision. I don't have all my next steps figured out, but I can tell anyone who cares to listen that my journey is far from over.
I love it. And I want you to also give us the timing, because we didn't talk about time. When did this all start? When did you quit your job? How long have you been on this journey? Because I want people to see, because you've built such an amazing brand. And I think the first time I heard, I almost fell off my chair. I was like, what? It's only been... So I want people to see the power of determination, what it can do even in a short time, what you're able to create, because people think, it will take me a long time to get to that level, but you'll be surprised. So go on.
Okay, so I officially started Zeelicious Foods in 2017, and then I started my YouTube channel in 2018. I remember that I started working at the oil company in 2015, and I quit the oil company in 2017 when I started Zeelicious Foods. Then, of course, when I first quit, like I said, there was no, I didn't know where I was going, no direction, nothing. I just knew that I just wanted to be this thing. And then in 2018, we started YouTube, and YouTube blew up beyond our wildest imagination. I think it was just a sign from God saying, I want you to know that I sent you to do this thing. So everywhere you go, you're going to win at it. So that first YouTube was for us, the goal was to have 5,000 subscribers on YouTube in the first year. In less than 6 months, we had over 50,000 subscribers. Even me, I was wondering, am I sure there's no magic happening somewhere? This is the same YouTube that people say
that people struggle. Yes.
And we had the first 50K subscribers in the first 6 months. And then I felt like that was God saying to me, you are doing what I sent you to do. And that's why my hand is literally in everything that you would do, and I will ensure that it succeeds and it prospers. So that was our first major success before, of course, we started getting noticed by different brands who wanted to work with us, and then we started growing. From there, we just started building. So everything officially started in 2018. Let me put it there. 2018. But Zeelicious Food started in 2017.
Look at that. Look, 2018, 2017, and what are we? 2022, 2022. Look at look at you guys need to go and do some research to understand the scale of what we're talking about here. I will ask you one final question, because I kind of feel there's somebody that is pulling this out of us. So, when you talk about, purpose, like, what, I want to go and impact the world, I want to do all of that. A lot of times, there's almost this kind of gradient on purpose. People feel like, purpose has to be it has to look a certain way, or it's either particularly, impact and, the thing that you were created for. A lot of times, society has kind of created molds for us on, you must either be impacting lives this way or impacting, because you won't typically think that, okay, with cooking, it could be something that God laid upon you to impact lives. Do you understand what I mean? So somebody else might have been called to this like you, but might have just looked down on it to say it's just cooking. I'd rather maybe go and help in an orphanage or anything. Can you connect what you're doing to, God's purpose and how He has created all of us differently, and how, whatever you find in your hands and you're being called to do adds something to the big picture? It's a bit of a, convoluted question, but I promise there's something in it.
And I think it's actually an amazing question, like a beautiful question, because a lot of people tend to water down what they feel because they feel like this is not something that I can make something of. I say to anyone that cares to listen to me, even the vulcanizer, the roadside vulcanizer, that thinks that his job there is just to change tires, can literally have a purpose to fulfill and become, in fact, from there changing tires, if he listens to his purpose good enough, and then he has a greatness mindset and a winning mindset, can become a mere vulcanizer today and then turn around in the next couple of years and be the biggest tire owner or tire factory owner in Nigeria. I say that to anyone that cares to listen. Sometimes what you see that is calling on you inside may just be something very trivial. You're like, how can I change the world with this thing? For me, it started as cooking. I said when I first started, people thought, every time I tell people that I'm in the cooking business, they say, are you a caterer? I'm like, there's more to cooking than catering. I'm not watering down any caterer. I have a catering company now, actually called Lost Streets by Zeelicious Foods. But the first thing that people thought then was catering. That's all you could do when you say I'm in the food business. No. So I said to myself that I had more work to let people know that when you are in the food business, it's not just you catering. There's so much more that can be done and can be achieved. Now I've added cooking show host to my resume. I've added a cookbook author to my resume. When I first started taking pictures on the floor, I never thought that, okay, there was a time where I would actually be an author. And I'm not talking about an author of an ebook. It's a physical, real book that was published. I'm sorry. I feel so proud of myself sometimes whenever I think about it. It's a physical book. So, and then it all started with cooking. So I think that anyone should realize that making an impact doesn't necessarily means that you have to stand on a podium and talk to 1,010,000 people. That's not making an impact. When I first started the YouTube channel, right, the very first message I got that I will never forget was from a woman in India, all the way in India. She told me she's married to a Nigerian man, and she's Indian, and my channel, she found my channel so helpful, and my channel has gone on to save and help her marriage.
Whoa!
For me, that was it. I'm like, you know what? This is it for me. If this is the only impact that I want to be making in society or in this life by showing people the culinary gifts that God has given to me, it's more than enough. So that message, I remember I printed out that message and I stapled it on somewhere that used to be my working area then. I stapled it every day. I would look at that message. My cooking video changed this woman's life. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. It started out as cooking. So I don't know whatever it is, but I think that people should learn to pay attention to themselves. There is a voice inside of you. Everyone is here on an assignment. Everyone is here to fulfill a purpose. Your purpose may not be to reach 1 million people. It may just be to reach 5 people. It may be to reach 10 people. The world has glamorized success to make it look like if you're not touching 10 million lives at once, you're not fulfilling purpose. I don't agree. Your purpose might even just be for one person, one human being on this earth. I always said to myself that, Winifred, imagine how many lives, because I know how many people, for example, who are on my team that are like major benefactors of what I do. So imagine if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, these people would have, like, their lives would have been like, I feel like a lot of other destinies are attached to mine. So when people, so for example, someone can come and say to me, oh, Winifred, in their minds, they're like, oh, you've been in this thing for this long and you're not even doing so well. You're supposed to have like millions and millions and millions of subscribers or followers and all. And I'm like, nah, like you can't come and force your timeline on me. I think I'm making enough progress the way I'm supposed to make the progress. Don't rush me. You can't rush my purpose. You can't rush me. I'm on a journey, and I know that I'm doing the right thing when I'm supposed to be doing it. So just because I don't have 10 million followers like Jamie Oliver has it in America, or sorry, in the UK, does not mean that I'm not achieving purpose as much as Jamie Oliver is achieving purpose. We are all fulfilling our purpose in our individual ways. And if, for example, you have just 1,000 followers or 500 followers following you on social media, keep doing what you're doing, because 500 people, reaching 500 people, like 500 real people, it's not beans. Imagine gathering 500 people in a room. Do you know what that means? Do you know how much you would even pay for the space you're using? So I feel like people should actually just forget about what the world's definition of success is. It's good when everyone is clapping for you and all of that, but that's not fulfilling purpose. What is your true calling? What is that thing that yells inside of you? What is that thing that you know that like if you don't do it, it feels like you're going to die. It feels like that thing is there. You need to listen to it. So many people have been deceived by society and what's going on in society, and if you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, there's so many ways you can cover. I know a lady who started out as a makeup artist. She started as a makeup artist on YouTube. Now she has gone on to build a multi-million-dollar makeup brand. When I was talking to her, I literally had goosebumps. She's a popular YouTuber. I had goosebumps when I was having a conversation with her. She was like, Winifred, when I first started, I started it in my bedroom. I didn't even know what I was doing. But here I am now. I have like one of the biggest beauty product brand, and she's competing with the likes of Kylie Jenner's and the rest. She's making money. And she started out from her bedroom. I went to watch her first video after hearing her story. I went to watch her first video and I'm like, wow, this girl has come a long way. She started way back in 2011. And sometimes people would always say, oh, do I still have the time? You have all the time you need. If you're just realizing it now is the time. Now is the time. And then don't look at somebody's 10-year journey and try to compare it with your 2 seconds journey. If you are just starting out, start out from someone who is just starting out from the beginning. I have had a good head. I started my journey in 2017. So you can admire me, get inspired by me, but don't want to be what I'm doing. Do you at where you are at the time. When I was starting out, my person I was looking up to was the lady called Siba, Mtongana. She was already doing her thing on Food Network. If I really wanted to be Siba, I wanted to be in her shoes, I would have, in fact, I don't think I would go far. But I just saw her as like a role model, someone I can say that, oh, this is someone that if she has done it, it means that I can do it. So let me now go back into my own world and do the work that's required so that one day I can be like Siba. So don't look at somebody's 10-year journey and say, oh, you are intimidated by it. No, start from where you are and then grow, and then you have all the time in the world. If you are just realizing it now, the time is now. And again, just to answer the question that you've asked, your purpose may not necessarily be glamorized. Your purpose may not come in a success pack. Sometimes it is cement. It is cement, water, shovel. You now need to put it together. I saw a meme somewhere that says, you ask God for a cake, a loaf of cake, and then when God gives you butter, flour, sugar, vanilla essence, and all, and an oven, you throw it out and you say, that's not the cake. Meanwhile, God has given you everything you need. All you now need to do is put the vanilla, flour, sugar, butter together and bake yourself a damn cake. But because it didn't come in the cake, You are throwing it out. I say, wow.
I heard TD Jakes once say, God never made paper. He only gave people trees. And people had to get that tree, cut it down and make paper. But people are looking for paper to come.
There is no glam in,
honestly.
Most times, in fact, if you hear success stories of people, they didn't start out glamorous. Nobody started out glamorous. If you want, go and watch my very first video on YouTube, you see what I mean. Nobody started out glamorous. Now I can hire a makeup artist, I can hire a hairstylist, I can hire a wardrobe person to come and make sure that I look glam. But when I first started, I didn't have any money to hire anyone. Did that mean that I wasn't going to get the job done? No, I had to go do the job myself. Yeah. And it's all part of the process.
It's all part of the process. One thing I feel like I have to summarize for the people who are listening to this that I feel will be a game changer. A lot of times, you talked about the fact that what is that thing in your heart that feels as if you don't do it, you want to die. A lot of times, some people are listening to this and they're saying, you know what, Tomba, on Winifred, there's nothing I feel that way about. And what I put to them, is there's something called honoring your inner voice. And when you do not honor that voice, the voice starts to quieting down.
Yes.
So the minute you start to honor it, the voice starts to get louder.
Yes.
So when you started getting this thing for cooking, if you are completely shut it down, like put energy and listen to every single person around you and say, forget this, or I'm never going to look at, remove your internet access at work, do you know that voice starts to go down?
Yes. I agree with you. Yes.
It is the thing that I have found in speaking to a lot of people who have gone on to achieve greatly, is that honoring that voice. So if you are perchance listening to this and you feel like you don't have that voice anymore, my idea or my suggestion to you is to just quieten down. So once you start, you will hear it again. You will start to hear, and you hear what Winifred said. Winifred said, life is speaking to you at every point. It is in your interest. It is in God's interest that you also find your purpose. God is not going to beat his hand in the chest and say, Winifred will not find this purpose. God, I'm happy. No. He wants you to find your purpose so that you can be everything that he has created you to be and be a blessing to the world. So that voice is in you. It has probably just been quieting down. So you have to start to honor it. You have to start listening to life. You have to start to say, why am I feeling this way? What I woke up this morning, what is the thing that I want to do? What's the natural thing with me? And the minute you just start to hear it, you start to do it, it will start to get louder and it will start to take over. I just thought that was just something that we had to add.
I think you just summarized it perfectly. Yeah.
Thank you so much. My gosh. Incredible! You must have felt that you leave you.
I even learned a lot listening to myself. Like, I'm re-inspired by myself.
What a session! Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for being here today, and
thank you for having me.
You've been such a great, delightful guest. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you in this amazing place. I look forward to seeing. Guess where I look forward to seeing you? On the billboard in Times Square. That's why I look forward to seeing you, babe.
Amen. It is happening.
Amen.
It is happening.
Wow.
What my next target is, I really want to be on a food network.
Wow.
That's it for me. That's the next. Food Network is like one of the if you're on Food Network, is like the game changer platform for you. And so I see myself there. And then of course, when I'm on Food Network, it's easier to actually achieve the dream of being on the billboard. It's going to happen.
It will happen. You heard it here first.
Doing it for me.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you.
Thank you.